Wait, what? Oh, yeah, this is the part where I put the intro.
Hey, what's up? It's me.
Stop! Well, hi, guys. It's me, Josh. I know. Been a while, hasn't it? What, like a year since my last video? And we've already made it to 2023. Happy New Year, everybody. Time's an anomaly, I swear. It genuinely feels like last January was forever ago, and last February was just yesterday. That's how bad it is, folks. Now, before we get to what you all came here to see, as suggested by the video's title, a little bit of housekeeping. So, I know what you're all probably pondering right now, or at least the tens of you who watch my videos. Hey, Josh.
Where the hell have you been, Loco?
And to really answer that question, I just kinda can't, or at the very least, I really don't want to for the time being. Outside of the fact that I graduated from the hellish cesspool that is community college, and am currently attending Fullerton State University, hopefully for only 3 more semesters to earn my bachelor's in theater arts, let's just say there were reasons why I initially left YouTube. And since then, over the course of the year, even more reasons why I stayed absent. Most of them rather personal and somewhat traumatizing. I have a lot of shit I need to work through on my own, so for the sake of my mental health and sanity, here's the pending game plan as of now. I'm gonna try to make whatever videos I can this week before school starts, try to disperse them over the course of the year, and if I'm gonna try to make some name for myself, I'm gonna do most of them alone for a bit. Also, even though this is a sort of quasi-comeback, it'll have to be a slow one, so don't expect that many videos from me this year. I'm hoping that by taking these steps, it'll be at the very least some decent therapy for me. Alright, enough talk. It's a brand new year, so here are my top 15 things in entertainment that I'm most excited for in 2023. Now, to set some criteria, what I mean by that is any project within the world of cinema, television, gaming, music, literally anything artistic that people can sit back and enjoy. Full disclosure, most of these are going to be movies, cause yeah, there's some big shit coming out this year that I'm absolutely losing mine over. Also, bear with me for a bit. I'm definitely scripting my thoughts off the cuff as I go along because, hey, it's been a fat minute since I've done this. Anyways, let's start the list by breezing through a few honorable mentions in no particular order and explain in detail why they didn't end up making the final cut. First off, Season 3 of the Netflix Ultraman anime. This almost made it, but while I loved the first 2 seasons, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of the manga it tried to adapt. I know I'm biased, but I much prefer the aesthetic and simplicity of the original shows, especially from the 60s and 70s Showa era. However, I do appreciate Josh Hutcherson's voice dubbing. Yes, that is Peeta Mellark doing the English dub. They seem to be fully realizing Jack's character as an Ultra, and the introductions of Zophie and Taro are definitely hype-worthy, so it's got a lot going for it. All of the different Broadway musicals going on tour right now. It seems like every year my appreciation for musical theater and stage productions in general is steadily increasing. After all, it's what I've literally been studying in school for quite a few years now. And there's definitely a pretty solid set of shows going on tour. I've already seen Hamilton, Hadestown, and Lion King, all of which were phenomenal, by the way. But you also have shows like Six, Annie, Frozen, and my most anticipated being Beetlejuice, if only to see all of my childhood nightmares cathartically bursting out into song. But here's the thing, there's so many shows this year that I definitely won't get to all of them, as much as I wish I could. But it's nice to see that people across America and potentially around the world will finally bear witness to these shows. Shin Kamen Rider. Okay, so in this list, there's going to be a lot of what's called tokusatsu, Japanese cinema and television that heavily utilize special effects, CGI, and guys in rubber monster suits, i.e. Godzilla, Ultraman, blah blah blah, yada fucking yada. If you know me, that was going to be a given. However, I purposefully left this one off because as much as I love Kamen Rider, the franchise has been running consistently strong pretty much every year, similar to Sentai and Power Rangers, since 1971. And also, last time I checked, Shin Kamen Rider already exists. It was a film from 1990 that sort of felt as if Jeff Goldblum's portrayal of the Fly was a Toku superhero. Very body horror-esque, super creepy at times. Not the best movie, but I actually really recommend it. Check it out, it's here on YouTube. Anyways, this new movie's definitely worthy of note, but it's only releasing in Japan as of now anyway, and we have so much Kamen Rider shit already, so it's just gonna be a mention. The Little Mermaid remake. In light of Disney's 100th anniversary, we're getting, what else? Another live-action remake of a Disney Renaissance film that was already perfect enough as it was. Look, I do adore and appreciate Disney films just as much as the next person. I really do. Judging from the first teaser, the visual effects look incredible. And I'm genuinely excited to hear what this Ariel is vocally capable of, 'cause she sounds fucking great.
Part of that world.
But seriously, outside of Alice in Wonderland, Cruella, The Jungle Book, and like a third of Beauty and the Beast, these live-action Disney reimaginings don't really do it for me. I'm sorry. Most of them feel rather shallow, and they often try too desperately to emulate their far superior animated counterparts. They only really exist for the sake of nostalgia, to remind people of movies that are actually good. The Disney Renaissance movies are timeless for a reason. I can show them to my future kids, and it would still make just as much sense to them. They don't need remakes. Nevertheless, to me, this movie is still worthy of note for the upcoming year.
As long as we don't talk about Flounder, cause holy fuck.
Oppenheimer. It's a movie about J. Robert Oppenheimer, you know, the guy who literally invented the nuclear bomb, directed by Christopher Nolan and featuring one of the most absolutely stacked casts I've ever seen. Listen to this. Cillian Murphy is our lead, alongside Matt Damon, Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, Gary Oldman, Rami Malek, Kenneth Branagh, James Remar, David Dastmalchian, Matthew Modine, Alex Wolff, Dane DeHaan, Jason Clarke, Robert Downey Jr., and Josh fucking Peck. God damn! So why not on the list? Well, it just doesn't pique my interest quite as much as everything else I'm about to discuss. There you go. Simple as that. The Skull Island Netflix anime. Wait, why is this not on the list? It's an anime about King Kong that's set in the Monsterverse. Oh yeah, that's right. We don't even know if it's in production right now, let alone if it's even releasing at all this year. Literally the only trace of this show that we have is this photo. Okay. That's nice. And finally, pretty much every Marvel and DC project. Now hear me out. WandaVision, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, Werewolf by Night, The Batman, and Suicide Squad, those were all enjoyable, and I'll always have that comic book superhero soft spot. Why else would I be shouting them out here? But if I'm really being honest here, the burnout's starting to settle in. And it's burning kinda fast. The quantity over quality motto is really starting to rear its ugly head, and I don't know how to vibe with it. I haven't gotten past the first episode of Ms. Marvel, and I haven't even watched She-Hulk or Black Adam yet. I'm sure all of these upcoming shows and films will have their merit, especially the ones penned by James Gunn, but unfortunately, I can't really bring myself to put any of these on the list. Except for two. But we'll get to them in just a bit. Speaking of which, sorry that took so damn long. Let's get to the real list now.
It looks like Godzilla, but due to international copyright laws, it's not.
The Gorgo comic books. For those of you who aren't aware, Gorgo was a 1961 British Godzilla ripoff directed, ironically enough, by the same guy who directed one of Godzilla's primary inspirations, The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms from 1953. The story of Gorgo is simple. Fishermen off the coast of Ireland are attacked by a Godzilla-esque dinosaur of sorts. They capture it, put it in a three-ring circus, only to realize it was just an infant, and the angry, pissed-off mother arrives to destroy all of Great Britain and rescue her offspring. It's actually a fairly decent movie conceptually speaking, and I recommend it for anyone dipping their toes into the kaiju genre. After a multi-decade long line of really obscure MGM comics that I guarantee no one's ever read, it was recently announced that Titanic Creations acquired the rights to the character and intend on not only making a line of Gorgo figures, but also a comic series that expands upon the lore and furthers the story. And while I find it rather senseless to develop this specific story into an entire franchise, I'm genuinely overjoyed that in the aftermath of Godzilla 2014, we're now seeing such an extreme resurgence of kaiju-related media comparable to the likes of superheroes. Keep this idea in mind. We're coming back to it later. Oh boy.
For the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities.
Cocaine Bear. Do I really need to say anything else? It's a movie loosely based on a true story where a bear does cocaine and absolutely fucks shit up.
Beth, we should go.
My life is complete.
The bear, it fucking did cocaine. A bear did cocaine.
Even the tagline doesn't give two flying fucks. Get in line. Yeah, don't worry. Come February 24th, I'll probably have to do one. This time, Yogi's gonna get his fucking picnic basket. And he's getting it today.
Higher, baby, and don't ever come down.
Fucking movie of the year, everybody.
2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby.
Iron Maiden's Future Past Tour. Now look, I get it. I'm a broke-ass full-time college student from SoCal who's getting excited over a tour that's only happening in Europe. But come on, I fucking love these guys. They were on my concert bucket list for years until I saw them perform in Chula Vista for the first time. Geography lesson. That's a city within the county of San Diego, for those of you who don't know. They say some bands need to be seen live. Iron Maiden happens to be one of those bands that you need to see live in your hometown. My fellow Maiden fans, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm so happy to have gotten that opportunity.
Fuck off! Scream for me, San Diego!
But just a few months ago, they announced what they're calling the Future Past Tour, which will cover both their most recent album, Senjutsu, which was thematically based around ancient feudal Japan, and the criminally underrated fan-favorite 1986 album, Somewhere in Time, which was based on the movie Blade Runner, taking place in the now not-so-distant future. It's literally future past, and it's fucking genius. Not to mention the fact that one of the Senjutsu tracks is literally called Days of Future Past, not to be confused with the X-Men film, of course, hardy har har. According to certain clues and research, they will be playing 5 tracks from both albums each for every show on the tour. Now, I'm not going to try to speculate what I think each song will be during this video, because that would take up way too much time, but I will say this. If they don't play Sea of Madness, I'm gonna throw a fucking shit fit. I absolutely adore that song. Anyways, I'm still excited to see what happens, and it's really awesome seeing one of my all-time favorite bands finally giving some live recognition to one of their most underappreciated albums. Who knows? Maybe we will get to hear Alexander the Great for the first time after all. Evil Dead Rise. Have I ever established on this channel that I'm a die-hard Evil Dead fan? Because I'm a die-hard Evil Dead fan. Of course, I couldn't make a list like this without the inclusion of something horror-related, and when I heard they were making this film, I knew it was going to be a good year. Then I saw the trailer, and my thoughts haven't changed too much, but I'll admit, a couple of pegs did get knocked down. It seems to be taking a lot of notes from all the different possession cliches you see in modern movies like Annabelle and The Nun, and it doesn't quite have the same exact level of action comedy catharsis that Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness had.
I got a bone to pick with you.
It almost feels like a higher production version of something you'd find on Shudder. However, I do appreciate the idea of taking this invisible Lovecraftian evil from a cabin in the woods to a suburban area in the big city, which can present a different kind of horror and open doors for more creative opportunities. Hey, they tried it with Jason Voorhees, why not Evil Dead? Let's just hope Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi enjoy it. Peacemaker Season 2. Our first and only DC property on this list. Funny considering the character wasn't originally from DC. Let's go back to James Gunn's Suicide Squad real quick. Great movie, well written, stellar cast, super entertaining with nice emotional beats and excellently timed comedy, Starro made for a great kaiju villain, just an overall fun time. Fast forward a little bit, the movie bombs financially. Yet Gunn still announces the release of a Peacemaker spin-off show. The show finally airs. Turns out, it's one of the best fucking shows I've ever seen in recent years. Granted, I don't watch newer TV shows that often, but still, it's a true testament to just how insanely good and off the wall this show really is. John Cena and Freddie Stroma make for an incredible comedy duo, and there's not a single character on this show that you dislike.
Who the fuck are you?
You're first? Cool. Okay, wait, no, let me guess. Your favorite contribution to Black American culture was all the black guys who fucked your mom in the ass while you watched from the closet jerking off.
Except, of course, for Robert Patrick as the White Dragon, who does a kick-ass job at playing the villainous white supremacist father that you're supposed to hate. Even though this show isn't really accurate to the comics at all, I still thoroughly enjoyed the hair metal, hard-rockin', name-taking attitude of the first season, and I can't wait for what comes in Season 2 this year. I know there's no release date for it yet, but fuck it. It's my list, goddammit.
Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur, Jesus Christ!
Speaking of Sam Raimi, here's a bit of a surprise. A little movie called 65. Alright, get this. Produced by Sam Raimi, and from the creative minds behind the Quiet Place movies, Kylo Ren and a young girl fly into space and land on a distant planet completely inhabited by dinosaurs. I really hope I have your attention now, cause holy shit. Of course, the title being a reference to the number of millions of years ago when the dinosaurs died out. What's funny is that from the trailer, I actually get the impression that it feels very much akin to the original Jurassic Park novels by Michael Crichton, even more so than the Jurassic Park movies, I'd say. It definitely reads more as a horror movie than anything else, especially given the editing choices.
There's something alien out there.
In fact, believe it or not, this concept is actually not very original, for it's essentially a spiritual remake of another film, Planet of the Dinosaurs from 1978. I'm sure this movie will be much better, though.
How long is this going to take?
And obviously, these are no longer scientifically accurate representations of dinosaurs, but in context of this particular story, no one's gonna give a shit. I know I won't. Honestly, I got nothing else to say, other than, well, dinosaurs are fucking awesome.
I don't say blah blah blah.
Renfield. Now this definitely feels more like Evil Dead to me. The story of Dracula is one of the most timeless ever and has been retold, revamped, and restored countless times, from Bela Lugosi and Christopher Lee to Gary Oldman and even Leslie Nielsen.
We have a saying in the old country, no stoi vlekla, then my pushta.
So, why not an action horror comedy focused around his servant, Renfield, whose legacy goes as far back as the original Bram Stoker novel? His baseline character from the story is that he's already mentally and spiritually broken, practically insane, and that's why Dracula chooses him to carry out some of his evil deeds. It's a formula that's been repeated a lot in stories like Stephen King's It, where an all-powerful being notices his limitations and seeks a symbiotic relationship with a disturbed soul to take certain actions that he otherwise physically can't. From this trailer, it seems like Renfield is being tortured by his relationship with Dracula and has had enough.
Sorry to interrupt. Are you okay? I need to get out of a toxic relationship.
Honestly, I'm okay with it, as long as it's written well. Awkwafina's in it after being in pretty much every other movie made within the past 5 years. Nicholas Hoult is an interesting choice to play Renfield, coming off of roles like Beast in the X-Men franchise. But the real star of the movie, of course, is Nicolas Cage as Dracula. I can't wait for that shit.
Some call me the Dark One, others the Lord of Death. To most, I am Dracula.
It's actually quite funny that he's playing Dracula here, considering one of his first movies was The Vampire's Kiss, which I absolutely recommend, by the way.
The right file, according to alphabetical order. You know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z! Huh? That's all you have to do!
And his uncle is literally Francis Ford Coppola, you know? The guy who directed that one Dracula movie from 1992 that was a big deal for a few years because of how accurate it was supposed to be to the book, yet nobody remembers anymore because of how fucking bizarre it turned out. Whatever, fuck it. Even though I don't expect this movie to be good at all, the concept is still extremely riveting, and it looks like it's gonna be a goddamn blast.
Okay, obviously we're dealing with a little bit more than just narcissism here.
Can the Spider-Man come out to play?
Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, because apparently there's a Part 2 coming. Here you go, folks. The one and only Marvel project to make the list. And for good reason. I don't think anyone will deny 2018's Into the Spider-Verse was an absolute tour de force, and it arguably revolutionized animation as an art form, period. It took lots of inspiration from anime, and it perfectly captured that comic book feeling more so than any other superhero film I know of. Since then, both Disney and DreamWorks have managed to succeed in replicating this style, and I think it's honestly starting to grow on me. But now we have the long-awaited sequel, Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, which will not only bring back some of the characters from the first film, but we'll also see the introductions of even more spider incarnations across the multiverse, such as Spider-Man 2099, voiced by Oscar Isaac, Armored Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, Spider-Punk, Superior Spider-Man, PS4 Spider-Man, the Spectacular Spider-Man from the show of the same name, Spider-Man Unlimited, and my personal favorite, the emissary from hell himself, Takuya Yamashiro! I just hope they manage to fit in the Spider-Man from the 90s animated series, voiced by none other than Prince Eric himself, Christopher Daniel Barnes.
Who is that little creep? Some mugger after my money? Heck, if I could find any on me, I'd split it with him.
I'm telling you, Grim, she was real. I'm gonna find that girl. And I'm gonna marry her.
The villain this time around isn't Kingpin or Green Goblin or Doc Ock or any of the standard ones, but instead the Spot, voiced by Jason Schwartzman, who you may recognize if you've ever seen the Netflix film Klaus. Anyways, it looks just as incredible as the first one, and the different art styles will definitely help it stand out this year. Now we gotta keep moving or else we're gonna be here all day. We still got 7 more to go.
All the slammin' shorties in the house say, yeah.
Transformers Rise of the Beasts. This movie's supposed to be a continuation of the Bumblebee film from 2018. Anyone remember that one? Time's fucking weird. Anyways, anyone who isn't a fan of Transformers will probably look at this film and go, seriously? Another one? And yeah, they definitely have a point. However, when this trailer dropped, it quickly became one of the most viewed of all time. And I know exactly why. This movie is actually combining different eras of Transformers in an attempt to appeal to every generation of fan there is. The Generation 1 fans who grew up with the 80s cartoon will appreciate the inclusion of classic characters like Prime, Bee, Mirage, and Arcee. The Beast Wars fans from the 90s are excited to see characters like Primal, Airazor, and Rhinox on the big screen for the first time. And the fans of the Michael Bay films won't care either way, since most of them just want to see vehicular robots beating the shit out of each other. But then again, who doesn't?
Besides, who would you be without me, Prime? Time to find out.
Alongside the iconic Peter Cullen returning once again as Optimus, we have our new human lead, played by Anthony Ramos from In the Heights and King of the Monsters, and Primal will be voiced by the legendary Ron Perlman, so that's definitely something. Despite the Transformers fatigue, I'm still super excited for this one, and to be fair, it's been a few years, so I'll cut it some slack.
Mama? Mama Luigi?
The Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah, the voice cast is funny, tee-hee, we get it. Can we at least appreciate the fact that Illumination might actually release something good this time? The animation here is in top form, and it actually feels like we're getting a proper video game film adaptation. Gee, I wonder if the direct collaboration with Nintendo has something to do with it. I wonder indeed. Also, despite the bizarre voice casting and the apparent lack of genuine effort on Chris Pratt's end, who knows, he might be decent, it seems like everyone else is doing a great job. Especially Jack Black. His heavy metal attitude lends himself perfectly as Bowser.
Do you yield?
Fuck you! Oh, and of course, all the little references. The Donkey Kong Bridge, Rainbow Road, the flight suit from Mario 3, the penguins from Mario 64, all the good shit. Not really much to say here either. I think the hype is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, as long as it's better than the live-action 1993 film, and it includes the Mario rap from the Super Show, the world should continue to be in one piece.
With the Mario Brothers and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others who get all the fame. If your sink is in trouble, you can call us on the double. We're faster than the others, you'll be hooked on the brothers.
To the window, to the walls.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. A stupid title? Abso-fucking-lutely. However, that doesn't change the fact that this is easily my most anticipated Hollywood blockbuster of the year. The Indiana Jones franchise is one of the definite pinnacles in the action-adventure genre, as it takes most of its inspiration from the James Bond movies and old film serials from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, like Treasure of the Sierra Madre with Humphrey Bogart. While not very many plot details are known as of now, we can gather from the trailer that the movie takes place in the 1960s, and apparently Indy now has a goddaughter. Whatever happened to Shia LaBeouf? You know, the biological son from the last movie? Oh, never mind. And you know damn well that this goddaughter is gonna be the one to take Indy's mantle too, because quite frankly, they don't have a choice. Harrison Ford is in his 80s now. He can't keep doing this forever, since he unfortunately no longer has forever. Same goes for John Rhys Davies as Sala. I'm super happy he's returning for one more, but you know this will only be a one and done comeback for him. Also, try looking up Dial of Destiny right now on Google. Trust me, you won't get a concrete answer as to any sort of real-life historical reference. The only speculation we have is that it's an artifact that can take you through time and quite literally change your ultimate fate. In that case, holy fuck, we went from aliens to fucking time travel in an Indiana Jones movie? Oh my god, sacrilege! But anyways, I'm still more than glad to see Indy get one more outing, and that these kinds of adventure movies are still being made after all these decades, even if they do include seemingly wacky science fiction elements now. It's all to serve the story, am I right?
Get back!
Okie dokie, now we're down to the wire. The good shit. These top 4 could theoretically be in any order, but this is how I'm placing them right now. Toho's newest Godzilla film. I know, what else were you expecting?
Hey, you were expecting maybe the Addams Family?
Sorry, had to make that joke. Anyways, outside of the obvious facts, there are a couple of reasons why this movie in particular is going to be so special. Not only is it the first legitimate Godzilla film made from home base at Toho Studios since 2016, but it's being released a whole 69 years, that's your cue to giggle immaturely, after the original film, to the day. So yeah, think of this movie as being a sort of birthday celebration for him, if you will. There's actually quite a few plot details we have, so I won't try to explain them here too much, but from what I've gathered, the basic gist is that there will be two Serizawa characters this time around instead of only one, a brother and a sister who are at the epicenter of some family drama, and this human plotline is supposed to somewhat mirror that of Godzilla's. Yes, that means we're getting not one, but two different Godzillas in one movie. Supposedly one is going to resemble the traditional saurian design that we're all familiar with, and the other will look more aquatic, like a whale. Funny considering the name Gojira is a combo of the Japanese words for gorilla and whale, which I do believe was a completely intended creative choice for this movie, and absolutely not a coincidence. Lastly, the story will somehow play out to where traditional Godzilla rescues the aquatic one from something, probably an oxygen destroyer like in the original. If you know me at all, you're probably wondering why I put this one so low on the list. And that's only because this is another one that's only releasing in Japan this year. However, to me, whether it's Toho or Hollywood, it always brings me such joy to see my childhood hero, the king of the monsters, get another film installment. On the opposite end of the regional spectrum, we have the American premiere of Shin Ultraman. I've been waiting for this shit since I pretentiously dissected that first teaser a year or two back. It's actually still here on my channel if you want to go check it out. It's only this week for 2 days here in the US. One version with subtitles and one in English dub, so chances are I've already seen it by the time you're watching this video. But either way, being a hardcore fan of the Ultraman franchise, I'm extremely hyped for this one, and I can't wait to discuss my thoughts with you guys on the other side.
Want to listen to some tunes?
Yeah! This was from the album Raid, the Lightning, entitled For Whom the Fucking Bell Tolls.
Oh yeah, it's fucking Metallica, baby, with their newest album entitled 72 Seasons, coming out on April 14th. This one honestly came as such a huge shock to me. The dropping of the album's first single, Lux Eterna, back in November, came completely out of left field without warning. But hey, I'm not complaining. Now, to preface, I could have chosen any metal artist releasing a new album this year for this list. Anthrax, Avenged Sevenfold, Testament, Overkill, Judas Priest. However, whenever Metallica announces something, it always feels like such a massive historical event.
We don't give a shit! No. But I said, we don't give a shit! Now I feel fucking great, baby!
And this time around, it comes in a package deal. Along with the album, Metallica announced a massive 2-year tour called the M72 Tour, which will, get this, have 2 concerts with 2 different set lists over 2 separate days for each city they perform. Not to mention 2 different sets of opening acts. Day 1 featuring half of Pantera, yes, half of Pantera, rest in peace Vinny and Dimebag, and Mammoth WVH, which is Eddie Van Halen's son's band, and Day 2 featuring Five Finger Death Punch and Ice Nine Kills. It's essentially a little mini festival, and I couldn't be more hyped. Metallica has been one of my favorite bands for more than a decade now, and I've been patiently waiting for a new album since Hardwired came out in 2016. I actually remember seeing them live in concert on the Hardwired tour, and it was one of the most invigorating experiences of my life at that time. So I'm glad they're still going strong. After all, isn't that what Lux Eterna's about? keeping that high velocity, hard rocking, metal thrashing Metallica spirit alive? Well, this year is the 40th anniversary of their first album, after all. And Lux Eterna in English roughly translates to Eternal Light. What was the very first Metallica song called again?
Coincidence? I think not!
I definitely intend on making a video or two discussing these guys, so stay tuned for that. And my number one most anticipated project is... Welcome back, old friend. Right, motherfuckers, goddamn Gamera's back! For the first time since 2006, fuck my life, in a brand new Netflix project called Gamera Rebirth, which is gonna be an anime movie show? Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's fucking Gamera, guys! Let's go! To those who aren't cultured, let me briefly explain. Gamera is a Japanese kaiju forged by Daiei Studios from the nuclear fires of glory that was Toho's Godzilla franchise in the mid-1960s, and over the course of roughly 6 decades has managed to become the most successful of Godzilla's ripoffs, to the point where he is actually considered Godzilla's primary off-and-on box office competitor. His iconographic equal, if you will, with a franchise that practically parallels his. Both franchises have a solid string of films from the Showa era in the 60s and 70s, the Heisei era in the 90s, and the Millennium era in the 2000s. Now follow that pattern into the modern age, starting with Godzilla 2014, and there you go! You've calculated the secret of the universe. We all knew this was going to happen at some point. We just didn't have any clue as to when. The distance between this and the last movie was longer than the distance between alternative metal albums, and that's fucking saying something. And, lest not we forget, Gamera himself was hardly even in the last movie, instead revolving mostly around his son Toto. Yes, that's his name, Dorothy. Just click your goddamn heels and fuck off already.
I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore.
Anyways, it just goes to show how strong and impactful the flames of the kaiju genre still are today, and I'm ecstatic to see characters like Gamera finally getting some well-deserved mainstream attention here in the West. We live in an era where superheroes are all the rage, sometimes getting 5 or 6 movie and TV adaptations per year, and that's perfectly fine. But seriously, King Kong, Godzilla, Gamera, Gorgo, Reptilicus, Ultraman, where has all that love been for giant monsters? Where has our favorite flying, fire-breathing turtle been these past 17 years? And that's why it's the best time to be a kaiju fan. That's why this is my number one most anticipated project of 2023. We've missed you, Guardian of the Universe. Welcome back, my man. Well, that's my first video of the year, everybody. Apologies if this one seemed a bit long. I had a lot to say about all of these, and honestly, it just felt nice to do this after not having made any videos in over a year. I'm kinda going through a period of self-reflection, and I'm trying to gain a better sense of who I am after everything that has happened to me during my absence. From decisions I've made to major life events, all of which have affected me immensely on a personal level. Like I said, I'll try to do what I can this week so I can spread the posts all throughout the year, but just keep your expectations fairly neutral. I may not get to work on any of it before this month is through. Either way, if you're still here watching this and you're someone who's been waiting a whole year for another video of mine, thank you so much for your patience. I greatly appreciate your guys' time and support. Until next we meet again, this is Mr. Penrod signing off. Rock on.